From the center of the universe, now in its 7th season covering your 19-time Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts, it's the X's and Argos podcast with Argos color analyst Ben Grant and Coach JB.
Welcome to the X's and Argos pregame walkthrough, brought to you by Something in the Water Brewing. My name's Ben Grant. I'm joined as always by JB, and we are here to get you set for Week 5, Game 5, and it's a home game. The Argonauts hosting the Hamilton Tiger Cats. This is going to be a great one. There's a lot of things to go through. It's a short week, quick turnaround for the Argonauts. Little longer time, extra practices in there for the Ticats. We will break down all of that stuff, give you the week's news, and go through all of our usual assortment of goodies on this pregame walkthrough edition of the X's and Argos podcast. All of that and more is coming right up. JB, let me tell you about everybody's Friday plan. Everyone's going to go to work on Friday. Maybe some won't, and that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. After work, you're going to go to Something in the Water Brewing. It's the perfect place to go after work before the game. It's just steps from BMO Field, so you don't have far to go, in the heart of Liberty Village. So you get down there, you enjoy a Longboat Pale Ale. There is nothing better after work on a nice sunny day. You sit out on the patio, enjoy a Longboat Pale Ale, the beer that was made for you, for fans of the Double Blue. Maybe try another one of their award-winning beers while you're there, and then you just walk on over to the game and catch the Ticats Argos at BMO Field. There's nothing better. I've got your Friday planned for you already. All you got to do now is go and do it. I'm hoping to be down there myself this Friday. We'll see if we can make that work, and I'll check in and see everybody, all the Argos fans, decked out in their Double Blue, enjoying some Longboat Pale Ale. JB, let's get into this. So there's kind of a little bit of a throwback to an article you wrote years ago. I think it was 2019, might have been 2020. You wrote a piece on how the Raptors had Drake and the Argos needed some sort of equivalent to that. I think you had every name under the sun. Margaret Atwood, I think, was in there. I think maybe Keanu Reeves. But a few years later, and they don't necessarily need another Drake. Drake has kind of thrown his hat and T-shirt into the CFL circle. What do you make of this news this week that Drake would be providing some of that OVO merch for CFL teams?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice, I think, to have somebody with a high profile kind of connected to the league. I didn't, look, I'm no fashion expert. I wasn't knocked out with the OVO offers. But maybe there's more to come.
There might be. It started just with T-shirt and a hat, and it's not this is not for me. It's not stuff that's made for me, and so for me, it seemed a little steep. I think there's so much good stuff at the Argos shop that's probably not what's going to catch your eye. But maybe if you're a Drake fan and this is what you want that. You want that hat and that shirt, then yeah, there's a possibility there. I like that it's being done. I like that we're at a place where the league is like, yeah, let's make this partnership happen. It's just not something that's made for me. But like you said, maybe this is the start, and maybe there's some more stuff coming out and more merch in the Drake line. We'll have to see how that goes. JB, this week with the win over the Ottawa Redblacks, the CFL site has bumped the Argos in their power rankings up to 5. 3 Down Nation has got the Argos at 6. All the teams behind them are basically the other one-win teams and then the winless team. Where do they properly belong? It's starting to feel a little bit more right, but where is their spot?
I mean, I can't have them higher than 7th currently. They lost to BC. We'll see how the Hamilton game goes. I think they're better than Edmonton. They're better than Ottawa. Obviously, when Kelly comes back, then I can see them moving up a couple of steps. But, I don't know how much future gains you can put into a power poll, right? I mean, it's who they are. It's a snapshot of who they are right now. And I would say right now they are 7th. In the league, and that'll change, but I can't see them being ranked above Hamilton, to be honest.
I think the Hamilton question will be answered this week, right? Like, I think that's something where you sort of, maybe you have the Argos and Ticats just kind of sitting there together in that, well, for you, I guess it would be the 6 and 7 position. I'd probably have them both one rank higher. And I feel like that will be answered. Whoever wins that game is obviously who we'd put as better in the power rankings. But that is the flaw of power rankings too, is that it is a snapshot. It's what we see right now. And the Argos, for the Argos, that's very misleading. We've talked about this for a few weeks now. Like, the Argos you're looking at today, the Argos that beat the Red Blacks on the weekend, are not really the Toronto Argonauts. They're missing so many key pieces. And I think that's concerning if you're Ottawa, because now Ottawa's missing some pieces too, but not those guys. We'll see. The Red Blacks will have a chance to rebound. Getting their quarterback back will help. But yeah, for the Argos, as these pieces start to come back in, then yeah, this would be a very low ranking. I would find even 5 and 6 kind of insulting for a Chad Kelly and Wynton McManus-led Argos, but that's not what we're talking about here. So I do feel that they're in the right place, but things are going to start to be a little bit more clear. And I think the hope for the Argos is that this coming game is the last non-Chad Kelly game. I think that's the plan right now. It seems to be what the organization is hoping for. We can talk about that a little bit more in our injury report too. But yeah, it sounds like that is going to be a realistic timeline for Chad Kelly's return, at which point I think you take these power rankings and change them completely. Like, just to put you on the spot here, like, where do you, if you had Kelly and McManus coming back this week, does that alter your power rankings vote?
I mean, I think if both of them are starting, then I would probably have the Argos ranked 5th. I think if those two were both playing and healthy, I think 5 is a decent place for them.
And I think based on their record, I would go as high as 4 probably for that.
Oh, easy.
They're winning right now, JB. They just beat the Red Blacks with a skeleton crew.
We'll get into that a little later.
So I'm optimistic about it. But yeah, this is a snapshot in time, and I don't know that this is as good as the Argos are going to look later in the season. I expect this to turn into a very good football team. Not. No, well, that's the thing, and that's why I know you're talking about projection, how you can't. I just think that if you know for sure you've got people coming back that are waiting to come back in, I think you can anticipate a little bit. I think you can project just like we do in preseason. Like in preseason, we still do rankings. There's still power rankings. Nothing's actually happened. You're just kind of imagining what's going to happen as through the course of the season. And so for this situation, I think it's the same thing. We know that Chad Kelly's coming back. We know Wynton McManus is coming back, and we know the line is going to continue to gel and to get better. It's not a guarantee. It doesn't mean it's absolutely going to happen, but that's the nature of this kind of exercise. I think this is a good time for us to get into Pick Six. Usually we do this segment a little later in the show, but there's a lot of questions about this topic. We just went random generator here and went with one winner for Pick Six. So Pick Six is a segment we do every single week, and you can enter into Pick Six yourself. You've got to be legal drinking age, and this is for a chance for you to win a 6-pack of beer from Something in the Water Brewing. All you have to do is ask us a question on social media, and if we answer that question on the pregame walkthrough episode that week, then you win a 6-pack of beer from Something in the Water Brewing. And so if you want to know where to find that, you can look on Twitter at Ben_Grant, or look for the prompt on Blue Sky at Coach Ben Grant. And you can ask your questions there. We had questions from both Twitter and Blue Sky this week. Our winner this week was a Twitter question from Rich Carfilis. And so Rich had a question that was similar to many questions, and it was about the running game. We talked a lot about the running game, but I went in a little deeper again this week based on the limited action that there was this past week, went back into the running plays from previous weeks. I've got a slightly better answer than I think we've been able to generate for you. So let me just read Rich's question first. He says, what's the matter with the run blocking so far? Is the offensive line taking time to gel in their new positions? Do we miss run blocking behemoth Gregor McKellar? Is it Arbuckle's timing? What? So JB, do you want to first crack at this and I'll follow it up and then we can discuss where to go from here?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, like there's not a lot of film from that Ottawa game to study. They didn't run very. They didn't. They gave up on the run pretty much completely. I mean, some of the run plays that they ran, the offensive linemen are not winning their one-on-one, so gaps are filling very quickly. But I think it's a combination of a bunch of things. I don't love the running back vision. I don't, sometimes I watch it and I'm not sure what hole they are aiming. Like it's hard to tell when you watch the play where the play was even meant to go, which is not a great sign. So it's, like I don't love the running back because sometimes it looks like there might be a hole somewhere and they're kicking it outside instead of in, or all the offensive linemen are down blocking and then the runner is running with the down blocking, and you're like, well, I don't know if that makes much sense. Um, so I think it's a combination of everything. Like I don't love the running back choices from the Ottawa game, and the offensive linemen are having a difficult time creating a hole for the running back to hit. But I think both are a problem. It's not like the running back is hitting the hole and then running into a traffic jam. Some of the plays you watch, I'm really not sure where the running back is even supposed to go on the play.
It's a bad sign when there's not only a hole, but there's not even a sign. You can't even tell. Even when you stop the film and you're where
Yeah,
was the?
where was he? At least you can see, okay, he was trying to go through this hole and then it closed. But sometimes when you watch it, you're like, where where is he supposed to go? I don't see it. Like it's like, well, is he supposed to run inside the kickout block? Then why isn't he, or is he not? So it seems to be like a comprehensive problem. I don't think anything is working. Like when you studied the film, like did you have a hard time identifying what was the actual running back hole that they were aiming to hit?
Well, a lot of them are zone runs, and there just weren't any options. There was nowhere to turn up, like nothing materialized, and there wasn't even a cutback lane to go through. But like in looking at it, if it's easy to blame the O-line, and it's not that they're without blame. I think they are at fault here, but I think there's blame to go around, and then there's also circumstance. So let me go through some of these things. So first of all, not everyone is run blocking poorly. You do see Peter Nicastro win a number of his run blocks, but he's the only one that is winning with consistency. But you watch on any snap, he's doing a pretty good job of chipping and then climbing to the next level. Sometimes on zone blocking, like he's great when he just has to move a body out of the way too, and he's doing that, but not 100% of the time. And then with everyone else, it's really hit and miss, and it just feels like on any given play, there's at least two guys that miss their block, and that's too many. And so you end up with a running back who just gets the ball in his hands, and he looks up, and there's a different colored jersey standing right in front of him, and now he's scrambling around trying not to lose 3 yards. So it is on the offensive line, but I think what's making their job so hard, and we talked about this even after week 1 when we were like, what is Montreal keying on here? And I'm not saying that there are tells or anything like that are still going on. I think that teams do not respect the pass. That's where this begins. Teams don't think that Nick Arbuckle is going to do enough to win the game through the air himself. Now, Arbuckle has actually played all right. I think he's, as we covered in the last post-game reaction pod, he's doing everything and more that you would expect from a backup quarterback, doing a great job in that regard. But he's not doing so much that opposing defenses are like, man, we better send reinforcements back there. We've got to be looking to get beat over top. We've got to have our heads on a swivel here for receivers coming in and out. They just don't believe that Arbuckle on his own is going to be able to beat you. And so because of that, they've decided that they're going to devote personnel and kind of anticipate run. And so anytime Toronto runs the ball, even when they haven't run the ball for a whole quarter, they get swarmed immediately because you're just sitting on that. They're sitting on those run plays because they don't feel they have to back out of the way. So that's a big problem to it. So the other thing we can add to that, the running backs, they're having their own issues. McMahon was supposed to be the starter this season. He's been injured. And then, of course, Williams gets injured too. And then Kevin Brown gets in. Like last week, you had Kevin Brown running a wrong path. He thought the mesh point was in front of the quarterback. It was supposed to be behind the quarterback. And so you have a play like that. It blows up for like a 3-yard loss. And the quarterback gets hit as well. And Coach Dinwiddie on the sideline is like, well, I'm just not going to call him more. Like, why am I calling any run plays at all at this point? And so you've got a little bit of that factoring into it as well. And then once you have the belief that the running game isn't going to be there, it's very tough. It's like the kick return game too. If you don't believe it's going to succeed, it's not going to succeed. And I think there's a little bit of that in there too. I just don't, there doesn't look like any belief when the Argos have the football that they believe they can run downhill on you. And we saw a moment where it felt like they could. Chop Williams, when he was running the football well a few weeks ago, that one good game they had where in terms of the rushing attack, there was confidence and he was bowling people over and he was getting downhill. And I think it's going to take him returning to the football game, and it probably is truthfully going to take the return of Chad Kelly to really see a change in this. But the good news is, I think that's all you need. I think these guys, like we know who Ryan Hunter is. Like Ryan Hunter is a great run blocker. He hasn't been this year, but hang on to that. He will be. Van Dahl we've seen as a great run blocker. Nick Castro is actually doing quite well right now. Doc Stater is new, and he's probably second behind Nick Castro in terms of consistency, and Moore is very new as well. When Chad Kelly comes back, the threat of the pass downfield is going to make a world of difference for these guys in the run game. It'll help if they got Mine Williams, but it will. And so that's the only reason I'm not worried right now is because of that. And JB, I want to just ask you a question before we go to the next topic here. Would you consider, as Coach Dinwiddie did this past week, do you just abandon the run game? If it looks like how it did last week, do you just say, well, let's just throw? Or is being a pass-only offense, does that make it too easy for the defense?
Yeah, I probably do. Look, I mean, there's lots of statistics to show that you don't actually have to be able to run the ball for play action to work. So I do like how much play action they're running. So I would continue to run lots of play action. I think you do have to mix in Arbuckle, keeping it a couple of times, so they have to play the play action a little more honestly, because everybody is just crashing down. It's just everybody, nobody's worrying about setting an edge. And so you have like 6 guys crashing down every single play. It's virtually impossible to run through that. So I agree. There's no point banging your head against that. If you have 5 to 6 guys crashing the box, you're not going to be able to run the ball. I don't care, who you have back there. If you have Jim Brown back there, there's nothing you can do when there are opponents everywhere. So yeah, I think you keep running the play action. Keep the ball a couple times to keep them honest, and I think that's all you can do. I don't see much point in being 2nd and 11 on your own 30. So like what is the point of that really? You know what I mean? I think you might catch him by surprise once or twice, but I agree with Coach there. Although sometimes we're on him about getting away from the run game, but I don't think that's the case here now. I think Kevin Brown is an emergency back. He is not a starting back. So I think you're kind of triaging here. You're doing the best you can with who you have healthy, and it makes way more sense to just kind of keep doing the screen play action game.
I thought it was interesting that Coach Dinwiddie called a flea flicker in the game last week in the second half when the Argos had, I think, -1 yards rushing at the time. Usually you're calling flea flickers because teams are attacking the run so much or they're so scared of it. And they're obviously, Ottawa wasn't scared of the run, but I think he was seeing, just kind of like what you're describing, that the research shows that play action is play action, regardless of how well you're running. I still have trouble believing that, but I know that that's what all the studies say, is that play action will be just as effective if you're a successful running team versus if you're not. I don't know. I don't know.
I think the play action works because teams are attacking the run so aggressively. There's so little respect for the pass game, that teams are just run blitzing essentially. So I think the play action works. You know, so I would keep on it, because I mean they're definitely not taking a step backwards. Those linebackers are coming downhill on the snap of the ball.
Thank you for your question, Rich Carfilis. Great job with the question. And go to Something in the Water Brewing to pick up your 6-pack of beer. And if you want to be like Rich, you want to win a 6-pack of beer, look for our prompt on social media. Like I said before, at Ben_Grant on Twitter, at Coach Ben Grant on Blue Sky. And then you can submit a question for us to answer on the pregame walkthrough. Let's get into this game, JB. Hamilton at Toronto. Feels like they've played already this season, both exhibition games, but now they are playing for real. The standings are suddenly getting a little bit tight, with Hamilton beating Montreal last week, Ottawa losing to the Argos. You now got the 3-1 Alouettes against the 1-win everybody else. Hamilton sitting at 1-2, Toronto sitting at 1-3, Ottawa sitting at 1-3. I don't view this. You used your must-win card last week, and so you're not allowed to use this again for the year. I'm certainly not using it this week. I don't feel like this is a must-win game. It certainly isn't as much as last week's was. But this is big in the sense that you have the opportunity here to shift a little bit of pressure to Montreal, and you have the opportunity to distance yourselves a little bit. I don't know how quickly Ottawa is going to get things back together. I think Hamilton, with their historically slow starts, with a loss this Friday, could really set them back and maybe even into a tailspin. So I think this is big for them. I think it's big for the Argos that way, but it's even bigger for Hamilton. I feel like this game, if they go to 1-3 here, and start having those questions being asked as they once again fall behind Toronto, who got off to an 0-3 start, I do think that starts to put some pressure on them, and I do think people have to start asking questions about personnel. The nice thing about the Argos is that even if they were to get blown out in this game, you know what the answers to the questions are already. You know that Chad Kelly and Wyndham McManus are coming back, and they're going to fix a lot of this stuff. And then there's other guys that are coming back. They're going to make the depth better and make the all-around team better. And so I don't view this as a must-win from Toronto's standpoint. It's a Friday night game. This one kicking off at 7:30 BMO Field. Let's say, JB, that the Ticats. The Ticats come into this one, and let's say the Ticats absolutely roll the Argos in this, and the Argos aren't in a game at all. Do you still feel at this point there's no panic button pushing now because they won last week? That's what mattered. We know probably reinforcements are coming. Are you okay with seeing this go terribly for the Argos this week?
No, I don't think you can get rolled. I mean, I think if you get rolled, then you've got a problem. I think you have to be competitive. With Hamilton. Hamilton is not a Grey Cup contender, so I think it's important that they are competitive with Hamilton. So yeah, no, if they get rolled, yeah, I would be deeply concerned. I think you still have to be able to play good football. You might come up a little short, but I mean that's not getting rolled. You should not get rolled at home by a team that is 1-2. I think I don't care if 9 guys are out. Like that's just that's not acceptable, and I know the team wouldn't find it acceptable. So I mean, panic is not maybe the word I would use, but yeah, I would be deeply concerned about the level of compete and about the talent level if that happened.
But I don't think it works necessarily. The other way around, I think, is more concerning, because the Ticats, this is the Ticats team, right? Nobody's walking through that door suddenly and making them a whole different squad. This is their team. They have started 1-2. I think for them, if they come into Toronto and get their hats handed to them, I think that is state of emergency in Hamilton.
Yeah. They're not getting their hat. Toronto's not handing anybody their hat. I know Ottawa, but yes, I agree with you. If Hamilton loses this game, that is a huge problem. I mean, Ottawa had a chance to bury Toronto and they didn't. And I'm sure that has been mentioned 400 times this week in Hamilton. I mean, they are trying to bury this team. And it's much bigger for Hamilton if they were to lose, I think.
And Hamilton's coming off they have a regular week. They went Friday to Friday. Toronto's going Sunday to Friday, 2 fewer days. We barely even it was barely even a regular practice today. They've got a practice tomorrow and then a walkthrough, and then they've got a game. So it's a very, very short week for them. This should be every advantage to the Tiger Cats. So that's why I think there's a little bit of pressure on Hamilton this week, more so than there is on Toronto. Let's do our ticket winner draw right now, JB. We had an amazing response, a lot of response from Hamilton fans, and I'm okay with that. I encourage Hamilton fans to listen to the X's and Argos podcast. I love all CFL fans. The fact that you support a team so much, a CFL team so much, that you are listening to other teams' podcasts and responding to their social media, I think that's fantastic. I know there's a real core of Argos fans that do the same, and they know almost as much about every other team in the league as they do the Argos. I love that about the CFL. So I'm not excluding any Hamilton fans from winning tickets. I think it's awesome that you want to go. Everyone's in there for a spin. And so I've got my random number generator here. And we've got 36. And so our ticket winner for this week, courtesy of Something in the Water Brewing, they are giving you their pair of tickets. It's Kyla, 97. You have won a pair of tickets to the Toronto Argonauts and Hamilton Tiger Cats. And so we will get in touch and make sure that those tickets get to you. It's Kyla, 97, our big ticket winner this week, courtesy of Something in the Water Brewing. All right, let's get to the injury report, JB. This was this is a very different looking picture on the Hamilton side as it is on the Toronto side. So let's look at Hamilton's first. Everybody practiced full today. Everybody except for Daniel Bell, the fullback, with the elbow injury. But everyone else, Greg Bell, running back, who had missed because of the calf injury, he practiced full yesterday and today. I expect we'll see him. Brandon O'Leary-Orange practiced full yesterday and today. Reggie Stubblefield with the knee injury was limited yesterday, able to go full today. So they've got guys coming back, Drew Wolotarski, Coulter Woodmansey. They are going to be a very healthy team with a full week of practice under them. The Toronto Argonauts on the other side had nobody on the injury report that was actually able to practice full today. To go through it, Jack Cassar did not practice with the adductor injury. Darius Sirocco did not practice with the foot injury. Dylan Giffen did not practice with his back. Brian Harry Lamana did not practice with the hamstring injury. Chad Kelly, limited, obviously coming back from that leg injury. Deonta McMahon did not practice with the ankle. Wynton McManus did not practice with the knee. Derek Parrish was limited. I think that's the most positive sign we have on today's injury report, Derek Parrish being limited. And then Mayan Williams, we were waiting to see what happened with that, did not practice with the head injury. JB, let's talk about a couple of these guys first. Let's maybe start with the Chad Kelly thing, because Ryan Dinwiddie had alluded last week to the fact that Chad would not be coming back this week and that the team hoped to have him back after the bye. If he doesn't come back the week after the bye, and if he misses the full 6 games, have the Argos failed in that sense, in that you feel they probably should then have had him on the 6-game injured list? Or is that still okay because he's been able to practice in a limited fashion for what will at that point be 7 weeks, and the Argos have gained something from that on its own?
Yeah, I don't see any real reason for getting concerned about whether he was on IR or not. I don't know what they would have done differently if he were.
It saves you cap money. I don't know what difference that makes here.
I know exactly. I don't care what money they spend. Are they, were they going to go out and sign somebody with that money? And, maybe. Right, exactly. I don't think so. I think it's fine. I think that's probably how they looked at it. I think they looked at it as, we're not up against it. We've already, we're okay to carry him, and we might as well have him with the team as opposed to have him on IR for no real reason. No, I think it's fine. Look, they're taking, like we've talked about the whole season, you want to make sure he's 110% before you play him, because you don't want him to play and then get hurt. So take your time with it. And I always felt it was probably going to be 6 games, and I think in my preseason kind of guesstimate, I had the Argos 2-4 in those 6 games. So everything's kind of going according to how I thought it might go.
I think there is a good chance that he's back for Game 6. I know that's what the team is hoping for. I think there is a chance at that. Is it at all weird to you that Game 6, and maybe is this a reason to maybe hold off on things? That Game 6 will be at Percival Molson Stadium in Montreal, the place where he suffered that leg injury back in the East Final. Does playing Montreal, does being in that same building factor into it? I know, because you're like, for me, it doesn't usually affect me as much as that sort of stuff does you, but I still kind of get the heebie-jeebies with it a little bit.
No, I don't love that matchup. I mean, I think given my druthers, I would start him at home. So we'll see what they do, but that I would have his first start be at home. So, if you have to sacrifice another week, I mean, it really kind of depends how things go. Obviously, like if they win this Hamilton game, I think that buys them another week. If they lose the Hamilton game, then you start thinking about, at a certain point, we're getting too far behind. So I think a lot is dependent. If the Argos were to win on Friday, I would definitely give another week for Kelly and start him at home.
It doesn't get much easier. That next home game is the following week hosting Winnipeg. So it's not like I think that's the start of a back-to-back, I think, isn't it?
It's true, but I think Montreal's defensive line
they're good.
Are good, and I just don't think that's an ideal. I don't think that's an ideal matchup. But look, if he's 100%, I mean, it's not like he's a rookie. So, it was just my 2 cents.
And then the running back situation. So Mayan Williams not able to practice today. He couldn't even see out of his eye after the game. So I have, we don't know because it's still Tuesday. There's only been one day of practice, but there's only one more day of practice. So are we going to see Mayan Williams this week?
I hope not.
The reason I think you might is because they didn't make any moves today. There were no transactions made. There were no running backs being picked up. And it's really only like if McMahon isn't going to practice, and he didn't today either, then this is really just going to be Kevin Brown. He's going to be the only running back.
Well, if you don't call any running plays, then it's not a problem.
Maybe it doesn't matter, and maybe that's what the team is thinking. Is like, well, look, we don't really need to run the football anyway, so we'll just go with Kevin Brown. But I think they might see I thought we might see a transaction today.
I can't imagine he plays. I mean, that was terrible helmetless contact. Thank God he's okay. But if ever there were a hit that required taking a week off, that was it.
Yeah, and if you didn't see the hit, his helmet came off as part of the tackle. It was sort of a helmet-to-helmet hit to start. Helmet popped off, and then he took a knee to the eye as a follow-up to that tackle. It wasn't a dirty play. The Ottawa defender had no idea that was even occurring, but it was, an Ottawa defender is trying to follow up that tackle, strikes Mayan Williams in the face with the knee, essentially. So, that did not look good at all, and the fact that he was able to get up as quickly as he did, I thought was impressive in itself. All right, JB, it is time for your favorite segment and mine. It's OCDC. For OCDC, as we hear fireworks going off in the background to celebrate Canada Day. Happy Canada Day, by the way, to you listeners who will probably be listening to this on the day after Canada Day. And happy Canada Day to you too, JB. For OCDC, JB will be covering the defensive side of the ball for both Toronto and for Hamilton. I'll be covering the offensive side of the ball for both teams. I'll start things off. We'll do the Hamilton Tiger Cats first. So I will look at their offensive plan and how they attack the Toronto Argonauts. So if I'm watching film, I'm starting to get very concerned about this Toronto D-line. There's still not enough for me to necessarily say, okay, everything we do has to be based on not getting hit by the D-line. But I think we certainly have to start paying some attention to Chatfield, who I think has made himself known around the league. He's leading the league in sacks by a couple. And I think he has looked like the best pass rusher in the CFL. I to this point of the season. He had a favorable matchup last week, but it's not like the Hamilton Tiger Cats offensive line has been stonewalling everyone. So I think, first of all, I'm going to keep my eye on him, and I'm going to help out wherever I can to his side, specifically looking to throw running back help his way so that you don't get any extra penetration. In terms of how I'm attacking, I do think you want to be unpredictable against the Toronto Argonauts defense. I think the success that you're going to have is trying to get the linebackers out of position. This team has had good linebacker play, especially from Cameron Judge. And last week, I thought all the linebackers played pretty well. And so I want to try and move them around a little bit and give my quarterback a little bit of an advantage in the unpredictability of what's coming. And so, especially if you've got Greg Bell coming back this week, I think you really do want to try and establish him as a threat. I think you run at Toronto early. That's something Ottawa did, and then they went away from it. It worked. They had a 9-yard run. They converted a first down, and then they didn't run again for like a quarter. And I don't think that's helping your quarterback any. So I think that's where I'm going to start with, is not specifically scheming up anything. I think you just go with your standard zone runs, your inside zones, and see if you can move the sticks a couple times and get those linebackers to start creeping in. In terms of throwing the ball around, I really want to stick to the boundary side. I want to repeatedly target Lawler and White. And I think you want to make it about those two guys and force Toronto to bring extra help over top. The way that Toronto's been playing this defensively to this point is they're playing fairly straight up with Sluka in the middle, and he's shifting slightly towards wherever the strength is by players or wherever the strength is by field, but he's not coming over to help one specific side or other. And I think what you want to keep doing is, whether it's short routes and hooks and outs and just easy balls, quick screens, you want to try and shift Sluka and bring him over to the boundary side. And once you do that, I think you've got enough weapons on the field side that you can maybe start to expose some things and see if you can take advantage of some of the new players that Toronto's got out there. Newish players like Bratton, who's still getting a feel for this defense. And as well, if you can get into that Sam linebacker spot too, where it has been a bit of a rotation for Toronto, I think that will make things very difficult for the Argonauts D. So that is my plan for Bo Levi Mitchell and the Hamilton Tiger Cats this week. What is your defensive plan, JB, for the Ticats?
Well, the Ticats match up really well with Toronto. If Hamilton's defense has any weakness, they're not elite against the run. Statistically, they're like third or fourth in the league. So it's a good defense, and they're very good at pass defense. They're very good at taking away the deep play. They've hardly given up any deep plays over 30 yards. They're first in the quarterback efficiency of their opponent being low. It's a problem. I think if you're Hamilton, you're really excited for this game because you play man-to-man defense really well. You knock down passes really well. You are built to take on this quarterback because you don't have to worry about run at all. So when you have a team that's really good defensively and you don't have to worry run, like if I'm Hamilton, I'm just going to do exactly that. I'm going to play a lot of man coverage. They don't pass rush a lot. At least they haven't, so that'll be an interesting matchup. Toronto's not great at defending pass rush. Hamilton is not a big pass rush team, but I think they're going to play a lot of man defense. They're going to try and eat up those receivers, and I think they feel like, screen games are going to attack, and then they have that deep coverage to take away the bomb. I think if you're Hamilton, you feel very good just lining up and daring a Toronto receiver to get open, and not allowing yourself to get caught on a deep sideline pass, which, those have kind of been lifesavers for the Toronto offense. If you force Toronto to go 12 plays in a row, that is a terrible matchup for Toronto.
Let's switch over to the good guys, JB. I'll start with the offense for Toronto, and this kind of goes off like some of the things that you just said too. I think it's unfortunate because I think there's opportunities to run against this defense. I just don't love the way that Toronto's been able to do it. And so, how much do I make that part of my plan? I think I start with it. I think I do try and get some sort of run going early, but I just don't know that Toronto's got the personnel. I think how we can compensate for that a little bit is extend the run game, and so you can get your receivers involved. We still haven't really seen a lot of jet sweeps. We've seen a couple, but I think we got to keep that jet sweep game going. There was one last week that ran fairly successfully, and then they didn't go back to it again. Just those little, and they're low risk. They count as passes where Arbuckle gets the ball and just basically volleys it forward to a receiver coming across the formation. And no reason why you can't run those for your speed, for Brissett, for Mittal. Get those guys with the ball in their hands, and that's sort of your extension of the run game a little bit. You can extend that further with receiver screens, which they do call anyway, but they didn't. I don't know if they ran they ran one, I think, last week early in the game, and it fell to pieces. It ended up going for like a loss or a 1 yard gain. But I do think that that's something because, as you said, Hamilton plays off the ball. They don't want to get beat over top. This is sort of a nothing behind you kind of defense. And so I think you can get your receivers a little bit in space. So I do want to go to those quick screens on the outside. The problem is the guys they like doing that with most tend to play the field side as opposed to the boundary. So it's a longer, more dangerous throw. But those are things I do want to start with. And that's sort of the running side of it. Now, how they attack Hamilton, other than that, I want to attack the seams, which they did fairly well against Ottawa. I do think you can get that with Mittal downfield. We haven't seen too much of that, just beyond the linebacker level. And Arbuckle's good at this, where he can find that space between the linebacker and safety. He knows his receivers are going to have to expect contact shortly after the catch, but there's a window there that Hamilton allows. And I think Arbuckle's going to have more time to throw this week than he has probably all season. And so with that, if he can just back up, take a step, look downfield and fire an accurate ball in between that linebacker and safety level, I love that. And then what we see every week, and I want to keep seeing it too, is get to the line quickly so that he can run these dummy snaps, these simulated snaps, because you notice every time Arbuckle runs that, if the defense shows something, his next pass is complete. He's very good under those situations of seeing, okay, I did a fake snap. I saw that they're going to be in cover 2 on this play, and I know what we're running. I love this soft spot here. This is where I'm going to go with the football. He is so much better when he knows what the D is going to be because he's an intelligent quarterback. So as much as he can get that going against Hamilton, the more it will help his game and the Toronto Argonauts offense. What's the Argos defensive plan, JB?
Well, Hamilton is not, I mean, they're kind of middling offensively. So I think, they're much better at pass than they are at run. So I think you have to try and take care of the pass. I think, that their quarterback is their biggest problem. So I think, you have to make sure that you have, I would get away from some of the, I hope they can play some man. I think some of the zone has been a bit of a problem. There have been some guys who have been able to get there pretty quickly. So I hope they can mix in more man. Hamilton's been pretty good at protecting the quarterback, so they may not get the pass rush that they had against Ottawa's kind of depleted line. So I think the pressure is going to be on the backs to stay with those guys. I mean, those Hamilton receivers are old. Like, they're still good, but White and Lawler are not kids. So if you can stay in their pocket and have some help over the top to take away that deep pass, I think that's what you have to do and let Hamilton run. If they're able to keep Bo Levi under 250, I think they win that game regardless of what the passing yardage is. My only sort of caveat to that is they do have to get better at lane discipline to set the edge and make sure that the quarterback, can't step up or get outside for those free first downs. So they have to make sure that they have somebody in every gap. But I just, they can't worry about the run to my mind. I think you have to make sure that White and Lawler don't get going. And you'll have to live with the running back getting some yards on you. And I don't think that's going to be, that's not going to be the decider. Now, there's bigger issues than that. But like defensively, that's what I'm looking at.
My one thing for this week is Not quite as simple as last week's, which did not come through. I was looking for one rushing touchdown, and they did not get that one rushing touchdown.
No.
They had first and goal from the one, but it was a pass to a tackle. My one thing this week is I want a 7-point lead in the first half. I believe if the Argos get up by 7 points in the first half, even if it's the first drive of the game, I think that gives them enough to win this football game. They are so much better when they get out to a lead. You saw it last week. In other games where they've been behind, they've fallen behind, and it's just so hard for this team to get going. Even when they're only behind like 3 or 4 points, it's really tough. I know they managed to claw their way back against Saskatchewan when they were down, but it took miracle after miracle. It is a tough road right now with this group. And so if you can get 7 points up, I really like this team playing with a lead. There, I think they do have some things they can do. And so that's my one thing this week. What is your one thing, JB?
Here, my one thing is 0 special teams penalties. Not a single special team penalty. They're really almost leading the league in special team penalties. That has to be cleaned up. I know they're missing guys, but they just can't have special teams penalties. A lot of those penalties are mental. Most of them are blocked in the back. You just can't have it. It's setting you back. So that is my hope, is that they're able. They can get other penalties, but no special teams does not get called for a penalty.
How about no offside penalties on cornerbacks this week too?
No,
that'd be a good one.
A separate problem for a separate day.
Let's get into Put Me Down for 20. JB, I have taken the lead on you for Golden Fleeces. We'll recap last week and make our picks for this week. Before we do that, we just want to remind you never to take any of our wagering advice seriously. We do not even wager on our own bets. We are playing with fictional Golden Fleeces, and so only ever bet an amount that you'd be happy to lose as the cost of entertainment. We both started with 200 Golden Fleeces. I am now sitting at 229.5 Golden Fleeces. You're still up, JB, but you're down to 210 after not getting the Mayan Williams first TD pick last week.
That was a tough break. I mean, he took a knee to the head. So.
And then your Edmonton Elks did not win the game for you at plus 420.
They looked great in the fourth. I thought they were coming home, but
there.
Like every long shot horse, they just faded after the turn.
I was 1-1, but I was positive on the money line. So Toronto plus 115 was my winner. My loser was Hamilton, Montreal under 49.5, a new line that I'd set for myself, and I missed that by I think 5 or 6. So our bets for this week, JB. I'm going to give you the honors this week. I want to start off with your Golden Fleeces. Where are you going with your hard-earned fleeces?
10. I have 10 on Brissett getting anytime touchdown at plus 320. I think he's due. I think that Arbuckle likes to throw to him, and I think he, not being the one of the top looks, he's going to have a chance to get a red zone touchdown. All
right, and your non-Argos pick?
And my non-Argo, the game of the week, Elks, all caps. I have my Edmonton Elks winning the first half at plus 100.
All right.
That's a grind out, pay the rent bet.
Elks first half at plus 100. Okay. All right. I've got those logged here. My bets are a little more exciting than yours, JB. Well, maybe not that much more exciting. So for my Argos bet, I'm putting 10 Golden Fleeces on Davaris Daniels with a first half TD. Davaris has a thing against Hamilton for whatever reason. He always seems to get touchdowns. I like him. I like the number, really. It's at plus 380 for a first half TD for Davaris. So that's where my Argos Golden Fleeces are going. And then for the other one, I'm going the whole distance. You've got Elks first half. My pick is Elks overall. Elks winning that game on the money line, and I get a little more juice, plus 105 on that. So that is where my Golden Fleeces. We're both on the Elks. Someone who
rode the Elks last week, I don't love their closing.
I don't like how they start most of the time. Last week was fine, but yeah.
We'll see. I've hedged a little bit, but yeah, I feel good about my first half. I think the Elks have it in them.
Let's finish it up with challenge flag. You were a winner last week, JB. You went 3-1 on the week, and the one I challenged you on, you had Hamilton over Montreal, and I thought you were being foolish. I laughed, and I threw my challenge flag. Happy to take the Alouettes, only to see the Tiger Cats win that one. So that evens us up. We're each with 2 wins through 4 weeks of the season, and your record is now 9-7 so far on the year with your straight up picks. Let's get into week 5, JB. You're on the hot seat. Winnipeg at Calgary. Where are you going with this one?
I almost had this as my bet. I do like Calgary. At least I thought a long time about Calgary, but I'm going to go with Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg is too strong. Even with Calgary at home, I think Winnipeg gets it done.
The CFL writers picked Calgary this week. I think 3 out of 5 of them picked Calgary this week, which I was like, what am I missing here? But
no, I think Winnipeg, look, Winnipeg's going to win 14 games. So, they're going to win this game.
Next up is Hamilton at Toronto. Where are you going with this one?
I I don't think I can pick Toronto. I have to pick Hamilton. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's a great crowd there because certainly Hamilton fans will be there, and I hope that it doesn't turn into a Hamilton crowd. But I think that Ottawa game was so not sustainable, in terms of the special teams touchdowns and the turnovers, and I don't love the matchup. I don't like how they match up with Hamilton. I don't like how much Hamilton wants to win this game. I don't like Toronto in this game, unfortunately.
Next up is BC at Montreal. Where are you going for that one?
I'm going to take Montreal there. I think
All right.
I think they bounce back, and I don't think BC. I don't know what's going on with Rourke, and I don't think BC is very good. Certainly, they're not very good without him.
Rourke was limited again today in practice. It's hard to gauge that at all. So.
I know, but it just feels like he's not going to play again, or even if he does, what will he be? I don't like BC at all this year.
And lastly, Ottawa at Edmonton. Are you going to stick with your Elks, or are they going to lose it in the second half?
Look, I swore I would not.
You said you wouldn't take either of these teams ever again.
I'm definitely never taking the All Caps. So I'm going to take Edmonton. I'm going to take them to, even though I didn't take the full game bet. I'm going to take Edmonton to get the win.
All right, well, I like your Winnipeg pick. I like your Montreal pick. I like your Edmonton pick. So I'm going to have to throw your challenge flag on Toronto, Hamilton. So I will take the Argos to beat the Tiger Cats at BMO Field at home. That is my challenge for this week, JB. One of us will be 3-2 after this, and the other one will be 2-3. Before we wrap things up, JB, this is going to be a good one. Hamilton, Toronto is always fun. If you have not yet got your tickets, go to argonauts.ca, get your tickets. It's a 7:30 start. It's Friday night, July 4th. Maybe not fireworks on this side of the border, but there will be metaphorical fireworks and actually real fireworks also at BMO Field, as they always do for pregame and the like. But you want to get down there for this one. Make sure you stop at something in the Water Brewing first. Say hi. Grab an award-winning beer, get a Longboat Pale Ale, and then walk on over to the game for that 7:30 start. And, of course, you can listen to Mike Hogan, myself, on TSN 1050 with the Argos broadcast. That will just about do it for us on this pregame walkthrough edition of the X's and Argos podcast. For JB, this is Ben Grant saying so long, and may all your pre-snap reads be good ones. I'll see ya.
Go, Toronto Argos, go, go, go. Pull together, fight the foe.